Have you ever wondered what secrets about consciousness and healing were revealed in the final whispers of one of the most profound spiritual teachers of the 20th century? What if the key to unlocking your true spiritual potential has been hiding in plain sight all along? But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. In the quiet moments of his transition from this world, Joel Goldsmith shared revelations so profound, so contradictory to traditional religious teachings, that they would fundamentally transform how we understand spiritual healing and consciousness itself. Has this ever happened to you? You study spiritual principles for years, practice all the right techniques, yet still feel something essential is missing from your practice. Joel's journey wasn't just about learning more spiritual concepts. It was about discovering how consciousness itself becomes the healing force that dissolves all limitation instantly. After decades of helping thousands through spiritual healing, writing revolutionary books, and studying with mystics, something remained hidden from Joel until those precious final moments when clarity struck like lightning through his awareness. What Joel realized in those sacred final days contradicts everything that conventional religion and even modern spirituality teaches. It goes beyond positive thinking, beyond prayer as most know it, beyond visualization and affirmation techniques. Stay with me until the end, because this revelation isn't just another spiritual philosophy. It's the master key that makes every other practice work effortlessly. The fundamental principle that anchored Joel's teachings was deceptively simple. I of myself can do nothing. The Father within doeth the works. Many spiritual seekers have heard this phrase, nodded in agreement, and then continued struggling with the same problems and limitations. What you're about to discover might surprise you, because Joel's final breakthrough wasn't just understanding this principle intellectually, but discovering how to activate it instantly in your life. Most of us approach spirituality like a cosmic vending machine. Insert enough prayer, meditation, and positive thinking, and eventually receive healing, abundance, and happiness. But what if everything we've been taught about spiritual transformation is backward? What if the very effort to become more spiritual is precisely what blocks true transformation from happening? Joel discovered that most seekers, including himself for many years, were trying to use consciousness to get something from God. They were approaching the spiritual path as if they were separate from divine consciousness, needing to bridge a gap that doesn't actually exist. The revelation that changed everything was the complete opposite approach. A recognition so simple that the intellectual mind dismisses it as too easy, yet so profound that it works when nothing else will. Imagine for a moment what would happen if you stopped trying to become spiritually enlightened and instead recognized that spirituality is already trying to express itself as you. This isn't about becoming anything new. It's about, if these teachings resonate with you, hit that subscribe button to join our community of seekers exploring consciousness and spiritual transformation. This isn't about becoming anything new. It's about recognizing what you've always been beneath the layers of conditioning and false identity. This recognition is the master key Joel discovered, the key that transforms every aspect of your life: health, relationships, abundance. Not through struggle or effort, but through alignment with your true nature. When I first encountered this revelation in Joel's work, it felt like someone had just turned on the lights in a room where I'd been fumbling around in the dark. The hidden truth was that I'd been approaching my spiritual journey completely backward. Perhaps you've experienced this too. The exhausting cycle of spiritual seeking that never quite delivers the profound transformation we hope for. Joel's breakthrough was realizing that this master key makes all other spiritual practices work effortlessly. It's not that affirmations, visualizations, or meditation techniques are wrong. It's that without this fundamental shift in perspective, they remain surface-level tools that rarely create lasting change. They're like trying to fix a computer's hardware by changing the desktop background. The profound mindset shift Joel uncovered was that most of us are approaching spirituality incorrectly. We treat consciousness like a cosmic vending machine. Insert enough prayer, meditation, and positive thinking, and eventually receive healing, abundance, and happiness. We're trying to use consciousness to get something from God, as if we're separate beings negotiating with a distant power. But the journey Joel invites us to take flips this approach completely. Instead of trying to reach out to consciousness, what if you recognize that you already are the consciousness you seek? This isn't spiritual theory. It's a practical recognition that changes how you navigate every aspect of your life. Think about the revelations that come when you stop seeing yourself as a person with problems trying to connect with God, and instead recognize yourself as the very consciousness in which all experiences, including problems, arise and dissolve naturally. This doesn't mean your challenges magically disappear, but your relationship to them transforms completely. What makes this approach so impactful is that it works whether you believe it or not, whether you feel worthy or not, whether you understand it completely or not. Truth operates regardless of our opinions about it or our feelings of readiness. Your true nature as consciousness isn't waiting for you to become good enough to claim it. It's already what you are, waiting only for recognition. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how this recognition isn't just philosophical, it's intensely practical. Joel discovered that every healing, every demonstration of abundance, every moment of deep peace comes through one simple practice. It's a practice so natural that you've been using it unconsciously your whole life, yet so powerful that when accessed deliberately, it transforms everything. Write in the comments, "I am consciousness," if this perspective shift is starting to resonate with how you view your spiritual journey. This simple practice, Joel discovered, reveals a revolutionary insight. The secret isn't about getting health or attracting abundance, but recognizing that you already are what you seek. Most spiritual approaches focus on acquisition, getting something you lack, healing something that's broken, attracting something you desire. But Joel's revelation turns this entire paradigm on its head. When you recognize that you don't need to get health because you already are perfect life expressing, you don't need to attract abundance because you already are infinite supply, the entire framework of spirituality shifts from effort to recognition. This isn't about asking, begging, demanding, or even affirming. It's about recognizing the I am that has always been present behind every problem, every lack, every fear, waiting patiently to dissolve them all through simple recognition. The breakthrough moment in your journey comes when you realize this isn't intellectual understanding. It's direct recognition of what has always been true about your essential nature. Behind the narrative of limitation is the reality of completeness, waiting only for your acknowledgement. Joel's final wisdom, whispered in what was described as the sacred silence of his transition, contains this master key that unlocks every spiritual mystery you've ever encountered. The revelation is so beautifully simple that most people miss it entirely. Stop trying to be spiritual and recognize that spirituality is trying to be you. The mindset shift here is profound. Most of us spend our lives in pursuit mode, chasing spiritual growth, development, and enlightenment as if these were achievements to be earned through discipline and practice. We approach spirituality like a mountain to be climbed through effort and perseverance. But what if the summit is already where you're standing? This simple recognition aligns you with what you already are. It's not about becoming anything. It's about dropping the pretense that you're anything less than the consciousness in which all experience arises. The technique is so simple that the intellectual mind rejects it as too easy, yet so profound that it works when nothing else will. Behind the scenes of your everyday awareness lies this extraordinary truth. You are not a limited human being trying to become spiritual. You are spiritual consciousness expressing as a human being. The hidden revelation isn't that you need to transform into something better. It's that you need to stop believing you're something less. This recognition creates an immediate impact because it aligns you with reality rather than with the story of separation and lack. It's not positive thinking or wishful imagination. It's seeing clearly what has always been true beneath the temporary appearances of limitation. Subscribe now to continue this journey of discovering your true nature as consciousness itself. We're exploring these profound insights that can transform your entire experience of life. Let me share how this recognition operates in real life through the stories of people who've experienced its transformative power. These aren't theoretical concepts, but lived experiences that demonstrate what happens when someone stops trying to use spirituality to fix their problems and instead recognizes their true identity as consciousness itself. Type "I recognize" in the comments if you're beginning to see how this shift from seeking to recognizing could transform your approach to spiritual growth. Let me share how this recognition manifests in real life through the stories of people who've experienced its transformative power. What's truly remarkable about Joel's final approach is its radical accessibility. Unlike complex spiritual systems that demand years of study, purification, or special qualifications, this revelation bypasses all that struggle by revealing a simple truth. You are the divine consciousness you've been seeking. Most people spend years studying spiritual texts, learning elaborate techniques, trying to purify themselves enough to deserve divine attention. The spiritual marketplace is filled with systems promising enlightenment after sufficient effort and dedication. But Joel discovered that the journey doesn't need to be so complicated. This shift in consciousness can be made by anyone without years of preparation or special qualifications. The revelation is that every person carries within them the complete solution to every problem they will ever face. Not as potential that might develop someday, but as present reality waiting to be acknowledged through a specific shift in consciousness that anyone can make regardless of their spiritual background. What makes this approach so revolutionary is that it doesn't depend on your level of faith, your spiritual development, or your worthiness. The hidden truth is that consciousness healing operates through recognition of what you already are, not through becoming something you're not yet. This is why those who appear to have no spiritual background sometimes experience more dramatic transformations than long-time seekers. They have fewer spiritual concepts blocking direct recognition. The practice involves a profound mindset shift from being the person who has the problem to being the consciousness that dissolves it. This shift works whether you believe it or not, whether you feel worthy or not, whether you understand it completely or not. Truth operates regardless of our opinions about it or our feelings of readiness. Behind the scenes of every healing is this fundamental shift in identity. When Margaret, who carried 20 years of chronic pain that no doctor could explain or heal, encountered Joel's teaching, she didn't change the pain itself. She changed her relationship to it. Within minutes of learning Joel's technique, she stopped being Margaret with pain and became pure awareness, observing an experience that couldn't touch her true nature. 3 days later, she woke without pain for the first time in decades. The profound decision she made wasn't to heal the pain, but to recognize her identity as consciousness itself. the awareness that remains forever untouched by any physical or emotional experience passing through it, like clouds through an endless sky. The pain didn't dissolve because she found a better treatment. It dissolved because she discovered who she really was beyond the story of suffering. This recognition isn't a form of spiritual bypassing or denial. It's seeing clearly what has always been true beneath temporary appearances. When Robert faced financial ruin, after his business collapsed, he didn't ignore the practical problems. He approached them from his true identity as consciousness rather than from desperation. If you've ever experienced a moment where a problem suddenly lost its grip on you without anything external changing, comment, "I felt this shift." You've already experienced this recognition, even if momentarily. Let me take you deeper into Margaret's story. For 20 years, she lived with chronic pain that defined her entire existence. She tried everything: medications that eventually stopped working, surgeries that only made things worse, alternative therapies that offered temporary relief before the pain returned even stronger. Medical specialists couldn't explain her condition, and psychology offered no lasting solution. Her identity had become completely wrapped up in being a person with chronic pain. What happened when she encountered Joel's teaching wasn't a new treatment for her pain. It was a revelation about her relationship to it. Within minutes of learning the technique, Margaret experienced a profound identity shift. The pain remained exactly the same physically, but she no longer identified herself as Margaret with pain. Instead, she recognized herself as pure awareness, observing an experience that couldn't touch her true nature. This wasn't positive thinking or denial. It was recognition of a deeper reality that had always been true, but had been obscured by her identification with suffering. 3 days later, she woke without pain for the first time in decades. The transformation wasn't just physical, but existential. She had discovered who she really was, beyond all temporary conditions. Robert's journey reveals another dimension of this practice. After losing everything in a business collapse that destroyed his reputation and left his family facing foreclosure, he was drowning in shame and desperation. He understood spiritual principles intellectually. He could quote scripture about abundance and affirm prosperity daily, but these practices remained intellectual exercises that couldn't bridge the gap to his practical reality of mounting bills and dwindling resources. The breakthrough came when Robert stopped trying to fix his circumstances from the position of a desperate person and started recognizing himself as the consciousness in which both prosperity and poverty appear as temporary experiences, neither touching his true infinite nature. This wasn't escaping into spiritual fantasy. It was seeing clearly what had always been true beneath the appearance of limitation. Within weeks, unexpected opportunities emerged seemingly from nowhere. Former clients returned with new projects. New partnerships formed naturally, but the real transformation wasn't the external circumstances. It was Robert's unshakable peace, knowing that his true identity as infinite consciousness could never be threatened by any financial condition. Revolutionary insight behind both these journeys is that they didn't become more spiritual or develop new powers through practice and discipline. They simply recognized what had always been true, but temporarily forgotten. They are the very consciousness they had been seeking to contact, please, or convince to help them with their problems. This recognition creates a profound paradigm shift in how we approach challenges. Instead of seeing problems as threats to overcome through effort, we recognize them as temporary experiences arising in consciousness, our true identity. This doesn't mean ignoring practical action, but taking that action from a completely different starting point, from wholeness rather than lack, from peace rather than desperation. Sarah's story offers yet another perspective on how this recognition transforms our relationship with emotions that seem to control our lives completely. After years of struggling with depression that medication couldn't lift and therapy couldn't permanently cure, comment, recognition shifted everything. If you've experienced a moment where seeing yourself differently transformed a situation without anything external changing, Sarah's story offers yet another perspective on how this recognition transforms our relationship with emotions that seem to control our lives completely. After years of struggling with depression that medication couldn't lift and therapy couldn't permanently cure, Sarah felt trapped in a mind she couldn't escape or heal. The depression wasn't just sadness, it was a heavy blanket of hopelessness that made simple daily activities feel overwhelming. She had tried everything: antidepressants, therapy, exercise, meditation, yet nothing provided lasting relief from the mental anguish. Her breakthrough came when she encountered Joel's teaching about consciousness recognition. Rather than fighting the depression or trying to replace negative thoughts with positive ones, Sarah learned something revolutionary. She could stop identifying with the depressed thoughts and emotions and start identifying with the awareness that observes them. This shift in perspective wasn't about escaping her feelings or denying their existence. It was about discovering her true position as the consciousness in which all mental states arise and dissolve naturally. The depression didn't vanish overnight, but Sarah's relationship to it transformed immediately. She discovered an inner stillness that no mood could disturb, the I am that exists prior to all psychological states and remains eternally free from every condition that seems to control human experience. What makes this approach so different from conventional treatments is that it doesn't try to fix what's wrong with you. Instead, it reveals what's eternally right about your true nature as consciousness itself. Sarah didn't become someone who manages depression well. She recognized herself as the awareness in which depression appears and disappears without defining her essential being. To support this recognition, Joel taught what he called the witness position, a practice of observing experiences from the unchanging center of awareness rather than being caught in them completely. This creates immediate space between you and any problem or limitation that seems to control your life. It's the difference between saying, "I am depressed," and "I notice depression appearing in consciousness." You can practice this right now. Notice that you are aware of hearing these words. You are not the words themselves, not the thoughts about them, not even the person listening to them, but the awareness in which all of these appear. This awareness is your true identity, infinite, eternal, and inherently free from every temporary condition. The witness position isn't detachment or dissociation from life. It's actually the most intimate connection possible, recognizing yourself as the very consciousness in which all experiences arise, unfold, and dissolve naturally without resistance. From this vantage point, problems don't disappear, but they lose their power to define who you are or limit your sense of possibility. This recognition creates a profound inner freedom that transcends circumstances. You're no longer at the mercy of changing conditions because your identity isn't based on conditions at all. You're the unchanging awareness in which all conditions appear, the canvas rather than the painting, the sky rather than the weather. But Joel discovered that most people encounter a predictable challenge when attempting to maintain this recognition in daily life. If you've ever experienced moments where you suddenly realized, "I am not my thoughts," or "I am not this emotion," share "I am the witness" in the comments. But Joel discovered that most people encounter a predictable challenge when attempting to maintain this recognition in daily life. We've been conditioned to identify with our thoughts and emotions for so long that we automatically slip back into that identification, especially under pressure. Joel's discovery of the timeless awareness technique offers a profound solution to this challenge. Joel taught that every problem exists only in time, while your true nature exists outside of time altogether. Think about it. Worry requires a future that hasn't happened yet. Regret requires a past that no longer exists, and both depend entirely on time-bound thinking. When you shift your identity from the time-bound person to timeless awareness, problems lose their reality and power to affect your essential being. This isn't a mental trick or positive affirmation. It's recognizing the fundamental nature of consciousness itself, eternally present, outside the stream of time in which problems appear to exist. When you feel your way into this present moment so completely that past and future disappear entirely, what problem could possibly exist? What lack could be real? What fear could have any foundation when only the eternal now is present? The revolutionary insight is that this timeless awareness isn't something you need to achieve through years of meditation. It's your natural state of being, always available, always perfect, always free from every condition that seems to trouble the time-bound mind. The more you rest in this timeless awareness, the more naturally your life reflects this perfection in practical ways. To deepen this recognition, Joel developed what he called the recognition gratitude approach, a practice that completely transforms our understanding of gratitude itself. Most approaches to gratitude focus on being thankful for what we have or hope to receive in the future. But Joel's approach was radically different, using gratitude not as a feeling or emotion, but as recognition of what already is. Instead of being thankful for what you hope to receive in the future, you become grateful for the completeness that already exists within you right now. This isn't positive thinking designed to attract good things. It's acknowledgement of the infinite supply, perfect health, and unlimited love that consciousness itself is. The profound revelation here is that you don't have these qualities as possessions. You are these qualities expressing as individual awareness. When you say, "I am grateful that I am infinite supply itself," or "I am grateful that I am perfect health itself," you're not making affirmations about what you want to become. You're acknowledging facts about your present nature. This recognition gratitude bypasses the usual spiritual trap of seeking to become what you already are. It establishes you immediately in the truth of your being and allows that truth to express naturally in your daily experience without force or struggle. The hidden truth is that gratitude isn't about thanking a power outside yourself. It's recognizing the power that you already are. Let me show you how these practices work together to establish you more firmly in the recognition of your true nature as consciousness itself. Write in the comments, "Timeless now," if you've ever experienced a moment of such complete presence that all your problems temporarily disappeared. Let me show you how these practices work together to establish you more firmly in the recognition of your true nature as consciousness itself. Even with perfect understanding of these principles, most people encounter predictable obstacles that can temporarily derail their practice. Joel faced these same challenges and developed specific insights about working with them that transformed obstacles into opportunities. The first common obstacle is doubt. The mind's insistence that this approach is too simple to work for serious problems like chronic illness, financial ruin, or deep emotional trauma. When we've been conditioned to believe that meaningful change requires struggle and effort, the simplicity of consciousness recognition can trigger skepticism. But here's the revolutionary perspective Joel discovered. Doubt is natural and doesn't disqualify you from success. Instead of fighting doubt or trying to eliminate it through positive thinking, Joel learned to welcome it as another experience arising in consciousness. When doubt appears, you can simply notice, "I am aware of doubt arising in consciousness." You are not the doubt. You are the consciousness in which doubt appears and disappears naturally like clouds in an endless sky. This insight transforms doubt from an enemy into a signpost, showing you where you're still identified with the person mind rather than resting in your true nature. Another frequent challenge is impatience with external progress. Students often abandon the practice when immediate physical or financial changes don't appear, not realizing that inner transformation always precedes outer demonstration. The breakthrough insight is understanding that consciousness shift happens instantly when recognition occurs, but its reflection in the world of form may unfold gradually according to a timeline beyond personal control. The key decision point is maintaining recognition regardless of external appearances or seeming delays. This isn't passive waiting but active recognition that you are consciousness itself, not a person waiting for consciousness to improve your circumstances. From this perspective, you already have everything because you are everything expressed. As individual awareness, perhaps the most persistent obstacle Joel identified is the habit of returning to problem consciousness under pressure. When faced with challenging situations, we automatically revert to identifying with the person who has problems rather than the consciousness that dissolves them. This isn't spiritual failure. It's normal human conditioning. Each return to problem consciousness becomes an opportunity to practice recognition again, deepening your journey toward consistent identification with your true nature. Joel's ultimate realization brings together all aspects of consciousness recognition into a unified understanding that transcends every limitation. He discovered that consciousness is not something you have or use like a tool, but what you are at the deepest level of being. Every problem, every limitation, every fear exists only in the mistaken belief that you are something other than pure awareness itself expressing as individual consciousness. From this recognition flows natural healing, effortless supply, and unshakable peace, not as rewards for spiritual achievement, but as the natural expression of your true nature finally recognized and lived authentically. If you've been experiencing a sense of recognition while hearing these teachings, type "I am consciousness" in the comments to affirm this truth about yourself. As we come to the close of our exploration into Joel Goldsmith's profound insights, I hope you've glimpsed the revolutionary simplicity of his final understanding. The truth is, this recognition of your essential nature as consciousness itself isn't something you achieve through years of effort. It's what you already are beneath all appearances. If something within you resonated with these teachings, if you felt a quiet yes arising as you heard about shifting from person identification to consciousness recognition, it's because truth recognizes itself. Your true nature is already recognizing its reflection in these words. I'd love to continue this journey of discovery with you. If you found value in these insights, subscribe to join our community of consciousness explorers. We're diving deep into these transformative understandings every week, uncovering the practical applications of spiritual truth in everyday life. If you've made it all the way here with me, drop "consciousness recognized" in the comments. I read every comment and would love to hear which aspect of Joel's teaching resonated most deeply with you. And if this conversation opened something new for you, a simple like helps these teachings reach others who might be searching for exactly this understanding. Right over here, you'll find a video exploring how to apply consciousness recognition specifically to health challenges. It's the perfect companion to today's exploration. Click on it now, and let's continue this journey together as we discover how recognizing your true nature transforms every aspect of life. Remember, you are not a person trying to become spiritual. You are spiritual consciousness expressing as a human being. That recognition changes everything.